Hello and welcome back to Live from Paris. It's time now for Business News with Matthew Warren, who joins me now. Hello, Matthew.
Hi, Lorna.
So we're going to start off with that group of pigeons. We mentioned them just before the break. The government's back down. Tell us more about who they are.
That's right. So this is the group of entrepreneurs who started a protest after last week's announcements by the government of new tax increase. It's been very successful. They've called themselves Les Pigeons, which translates, of course, as pigeons, but also as fall guys or the mugs, really. They're unhappy about capital gains tax, which is being put up to the level of tax on other incomes. They say that's going to stifle new business creation. Well, they had a bit of a success on Thursday. They met up with the French finance minister. The government now says it's prepared to make some concessions.
3 ministers, representatives from the business world and a handful of web startup entrepreneurs. They were round the table together for an emergency meeting at the Ministry of Finance. An attempt from Paris to appease entrepreneurs or the pigeons worried about the capital gains tax.
You have to be willing to listen to such concerns, to act pragmatically, and to engage in dialogue. Sometimes you need to move forward, not hold back. Move forward in the right direction, of course. And when someone has legitimate concerns, you must listen to them, which is what we did.
The draft bill will now be tweaked. It had mooted a significant rise in capital gains taxes on equity sales. Now at 34%, they could go as high as 60%. These are the profits made from selling off a company. But if its owner decides to put that cash back into another project, this sum could be exonerated from the tax. Entrepreneurs came out of the meeting slightly reassured.
The discussion was quite interesting. I think that they're going to go back over things. And they were concerned, I'll quote them, that there should be no prejudice against business owners. On the contrary, they want to encourage them.
Business representatives are planning to keep up the pressure on the government, keen to ward off what they see as a dangerous tax.
Everyone must understand that without capital, there can be no business. And if you're working with prohibitive tax rates on that capital, well, then business owners will simply go elsewhere.
Lobbying should continue on the internet. The movement has cancelled their protest march, scheduled for Sunday.
Now, Matthew, some important figures on jobs are due out later this Friday.
Yes, that's right. The monthly report on unemployment in the US will be out later today. Now, we can see that in the last 4 years, that's gone up. It's now at around 8.1%. Many expecting that the rate will edge up slightly when that report's out. We'll keep an eye on what happens there. Markets will be keeping a close eye on that as well. Of course, let's take a look at how things are opening up in Europe this morning. And markets are in positive territory. Now, that's despite comments from the Spanish finance minister that Spain won't be taking a bailout. Markets usually reassured when they think Spain will be getting some financial help. And yesterday, the head of the European Central Bank gave a bit of a nudge to Spain, saying if they do seek financial aid, then the ECB will be able to step in, help bring down borrowing costs by buying bonds. But no sign Spain is going to do that just yet. Let's take a look at how Asian markets closed as well. They were also up in the plus area on Friday. The Nikkei fell back a bit after the Bank of Japan said no more monetary easing from them for the time being.
Okay, well, moving on to another story. We've been talking about it a lot in the news today. People in Venezuela are going to the polls on Sunday, and as they do so, the country is facing big economic challenges.
Yes, big challenges. And voters there are being offered two very different views, really, of how to run the economy. On the one hand, the socialist president, Hugo Chavez, and on the other, his more pro-market rival.
Just days away from the presidential election, Venezuelans' major concern is the value of the money in their pockets.
Everything's so expensive wherever you go. Today it's one price, tomorrow it's another.
After 14 years leading the country, Hugo Chavez is facing the first serious challenge to his power from a united opposition. His adversary, Enrique Capriles, wants to close the chapter of rampant nationalization that Venezuela's seen for the last decade. He wants to put the private sector center stage.
Putting an end to the expropriations is one of our major priorities. We want to start negotiating with the companies that have been affected by this totally unrealistic economic system.
Venezuela's economy is hindered by the second highest rate of inflation in the world, at over 26% last year. Despite dwindling foreign investment and a deterioration of the industrial and agricultural sectors, Chavez has managed to lower poverty levels and develop health and education projects. Yet the economy's bound by Venezuela's policy on oil revenues. The country's home to one of the largest reserves of oil on the planet. It accounts for more than 96% of the country's income. Some experts say the way this wealth is distributed is flawed.
People think that as long as the prices are high, it's all going well. There are profits, return on investments, but when oil prices fall, then the model collapses.
17,000 businesses have folded since Hugo Chavez came to power. Venezuela's still plagued by social inequality, and with regular shortages of staple products, many people here are totally reliant on welfare payments and state subsidies.
Well, now let's get some of the day's company news. And strong smartphone sales at Samsung helped boost profits by 85%. The South Korean electronics giant said earnings should total $7.3 billion in the third quarter. Shares in Samsung have risen 62% in the last year.
Kingfisher Airlines in India has grounded its flights for another week. Workers are on strike after not being paid for months. Engineers are among those taking the action. That's led the country's aviation authority to express concerns over safety standards.
And staying with aviation, passengers should be compensated if they're delayed more than a day by strikes. That's according to a ruling from the European Court of Justice. Judges were considering the case of a Finnair passenger who wanted compensation after a 2-day delay in 2006. His flight from Barcelona to Helsinki had been delayed by strike action.
Now, back to here in France, because a French fashion figure is rather eating his words a bit, isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Now, this is the boss of a very popular fashion chain here in France, Zadig and Voltaire, and he's apologised over remarks he made to Women's Wear Daily, which we can see here, fashion magazine. Thierry Guillier told the magazine about a new hotel that the company's launching, very exclusive, but he said apparently that Chinese tourists would not be welcome. Well, that caused, of course, a huge storm, and we know how important Chinese tourists are to the French economy, particularly here in Paris. Well, now he's said that, in fact, his remarks were clumsy and taken out of their context, and that they may have hurt his friends from China or elsewhere. He's deeply sorry for that. What he says, what the company says that he was trying to say was that this hotel will be exclusive and not designed for mass tourism. So
okay, perhaps a little bit awkward there
for
him. But we're going to move a bit further afield now to Dubai, because there's an ambitious building project there that aims to be the world's grandest wedding venue. I'm quite intrigued.
See what you think about this. Now, a replica of the Taj Mahal, but no ordinary replica, if there is such a thing, of the Taj Mahal. It will be 4 times the size. And of course, the Taj Mahal already, I don't know if you've ever been there.
I haven't, but I imagine it's pretty huge.
Exactly. Now, developers there in Dubai are hoping that this will be, as you said, Lorna, the world's grandest wedding venue. It will be $1 billion project. It'll be called the Taj Arabia, and we'll have 300 rooms.
Well, you could certainly fit plenty of guests in, couldn't you?
Yes, you could.
Wanted a huge one.
You got married fairly recently. Would that have appealed to you, do you think,
I've
Lorna?
certainly been able to invite a few more friends along, but maybe
yes.
aesthetically it wasn't quite what I was after. But
Good weather, though, at least. I'm
definitely,
sure.
very sunny. You'd come back with a tan,
Yes.
set off your nice white wedding dress. Well, thanks very much indeed, Matthew, for that look at today's business news. And that's it from us for now, but don't go away. Luke Brown will be here with more news headlines right after the international weather. Next, here on France 24.